Hello, today is Friday, 4th of February 2022, and I was about to do like a series on Mars through the houses, and I thought in the light that we are going to be, well, it's Friday for one thing, day of Venus, and secondly, we're also coming very fast approaching Valentine's Day. Let's do Venus through the houses, and what better day to start this than today? So I'm just going to give you the indications for Venus, and then we go on to discuss how it is when it is in your first house. And obviously this is all using a sidereal zodiac, and the condition of Venus will be like, I'm just pretending it's got like no conjunctions, no aspects, just the pure Venus through the first house. And obviously this Venus is going to be completely different depending on whether or not it's in Scorpio or Sagittarius or Gemini, you know, so they're all different. And also the nakshatras make a difference too, because they will definitely refine that. And obviously it's not just nakshatras are 13 degrees 20 of a sign. They have 4 padas as well, so each pada is different again. So there's a lot to think about, but anyway, let's start. So I thought I'd just go through the indications for Venus. So Venus is all about balance. If somebody was to say to me, what would you just say would be, you know, like if you were to give 3 things to explain what Venus is, I would say Venus is about balance, it's about self-love, and it's about good choices. This will be how I would describe it. I wouldn't describe it like what people may think, you know, this that's why people who have got good relationships, and they, even if they were to come out of one relationship, they soon attract another, is because they just got that understanding that they can be generous, you know, and they can see the big picture. So anyway, let's start. So keywords: love, passion, relationship, union, choices, values, obviously the arts, self-love, grace, partnerships, beauty, non-judgmental, generosity in all things, diplomacy, fairness, interaction, family, artistics, and kind of, I would just say things to do with, you know, aesthetics really as well. Fashion, cosmetics, perfume, flowers, paintings, good food, travel, vehicles of any kind. So it could be anything from a scooter, bike to car, or even an airplane. It's pleasant, it's about luxury, it's about charm, sensuality, unconditional love, expressive, social grace and awareness, and it goes on. So, and it's also, I think I would also just add, there is like appreciations of all things and seeing beauty in everything. This is when Venus is quite balanced. And as we know that in the natural zodiac, starting from Aries, it rules the 2nd and the 7th house. So Taurus, which is a fixed sign, and this sign is also earthy. So you know that Venus is obviously a feminine planet. It ruling the 2nd sign of the zodiac. It rules the face and also the neck. So it's about choices, turning right and left to actually see when is a good time to cross the road, if you like. And they know what's good for them, rather than they wouldn't make a choice. A good Venus would not go for somebody who looks good. They would just kind of think, because it rules the natural 2nd house of the zodiac, it's about family. What is this relationship a good investment for me and for my children? You know, for my values, does it add to my values? They wouldn't be straying, even if I don't know, some magical handsome guy or Adonis of a guy, or some Aphrodite will come through. This is really all about that kind of having that value. And and obviously, because it rules the second natural house of the zodiac, it is a feminine planet. When you are gracious towards feminine things, which is like environment, females, women, female energy, women, mothers, and everything else, it naturally helps kind of that respect. It could even be from one woman to other. It doesn't have to be from a man to a man, man to a woman, and actually from a man to a man. Generosity, being kind, money flows in. So I just want to add here as well that Venus is friendly with Saturn. Venus rules the second house of the zodiac, which is money, resources, and also the money, the savings that you have, money that you have in the bank account. And it's friendly with Saturn, and Saturn rules the 11th house of the zodiac. And so that again is another house of gains, financial gains. So these two planets work together really well, because in a relationship you want to be, obviously, see the beauty in the person, also be there for them during the times that they are sick, they're unwell, growing old together, being a pillar for each other, looking after, having each other's back. And this is the reason why often when people can't find love, it's because they can't love themselves. And what it creates this issue with back problems, because obviously Saturn rules your structure, also there's the sun, but it's like skeletal system. So lack of support. And this is when you can really help yourself by just starting with self-love, doing rituals to really get the Venus in your chart strong. And I always say this, planets that are really fast moving, like Venus, Mercury, Moon, and the Sun, they're really easy to get results quickly out of them. And just be persistent, but always thank God and universe for everything as well. So, and also Saturn is again brings that stability to Venus, and it shows that with time things get better as well in the relationship. So normally when you go into a relationship, the first couple of years are quite easy, and then you go through this more challenging times, because remember, when you get married, the first year is like woohoo. The second year is pretty good, you're helping each other to pay the bills and everything. The third year, so again, it becomes an upachaya, so it's a bit challenging. You have to put more effort into the relationship. And again, the fourth year can bring you more comforts, because you got the accumulation of the wealth. You might just change home to a bigger home, or you might actually buy a home together. And you might have kids after that, sixth house, there could be that you get yourself into debt, all that kind of stuff, basically. And then from the seventh house, you start traveling, all that kind of stuff. But so relationships have also go through all these stages as well. And anyway, let's go back. So second house is all about family. It's your speech. So it's always good to try and always leave the person with a kind word, and because I think people never forget your kindness and generosity, whether it's in words or gestures, something like that. It's always magical, and it's also rules senses with this, something, all those. And I really love it, because my own daughter, she's really good at this. She's very good at explaining, like when she smells something, she can really use all these words to articulate a particular sort of smell or taste or something. It's lovely, very Venusian, that is. It's also to do with what is good for me. And it also rules the seventh house of the zodiac, which is about attraction to the other, and that whole romantic thing, romance and being together, and gets your heart chakra because it rules the heart chakra, so it gets you excited, pumping the blood around your body, which is obviously Mars gets the passion going, and stimulation, interaction, going out, being more sociable, social events, in, you know, as I said, interaction again. And also it rules kind of dealing with other people, being generous and diplomatic and creating harmony with others, and you know, that kind of stuff. And also it's debilitated in the 6th natural house of the zodiac, Virgo, when it's all, everything is on the microscope. You know, you did this and you didn't do that, and last Sunday, you know, you dropped a pin on the floor or something like that. You know, it's just like really being very critical, and just knocking somebody down for something that, you know, does it, okay, some things, you know, you got to say, but other things, you know, just doesn't have to be a big deal really, so you can overlook certain stuff. And just always remember, when you're going to say something, just always remember the good things and balance things out really. And it's exalted in the 12th natural house of the zodiac, which is the house of sex and bed pleasures and good sleep, having that when you put your head down, you're just like rested, you know, it's beautiful. Also, this is the house of devotions, and devotion, God, spirituality, and the bigger picture. So that's another word that I would use for it as well, is devotion. Obviously, Venus will be very different according to, you know, as I said, the situation with it. But if it's normally in front of the sun in your chart, so it will be, I don't mean in the same sign, I mean in front. It will be much more ta-da, I'm here kind of Venus, whereas Venus, if it's behind the sun, it's more introverted, not so extroverted. So anyway, this is the bit about Venus. I'm now going to do through the houses. Thank you for watching. As I'm doing this Venus through the houses, I'm approaching Valentine's Day. It doesn't need to necessarily be because of that. I actually wanted to just tell you, I had this is Michael Mastro's and his wife Robin's book, you know, Making Room for Mr. Right. It could be for Mrs. Right too. And I bought this book because Michael, I mean, he's a fantastic Vastu expert, and he's an architect anyway, so it's just wonderful putting the two together. And he actually did Vastu for my property, and kind of remedied some of the issues, because actually this property has got so many issues you will not believe. But since then, it's been really brought a lot of happiness into my home. So, and this has got a wonderful, obviously it tells you about, more than anything, saying to you that if you want somebody, love to come into your life, you have to make room for it. So if your house or property or your flat or your room is full of clutter, you kind of like, the energy is a mess in your environment. So fix your environment, get rid of anything that no longer serves you, and start making it beautiful. And it gives you lots of different things. It's also got like a full moon ritual thing that you can do. It's also invites you to do intentions and write down exactly the sort of person that you want in terms of like physically, what do you want them to look like, financially, emotionally, spiritually, which is fantastic, really amazing. So it kind of makes you really think about what you want, because I think often people want love, but they haven't really, never really thought about how, you know, what sort of love they want. And I think right now is a really good time to start thinking about what type of love you want, because we have just been through, well, we're still going through a really difficult patch in the world, and what you thought you liked 2 years ago might be very different to what you look for now. So this would be a perfect time now to start thinking about what you would like. So anyway, it has lots of different tips. It's got beautiful full moon rituals that you can do. So amazing. And I just wanted to show you, because I love yantras. It's also got like a yantra for Venus there. which, you know, I don't know if you can actually take a picture of that, and I'm sure Michael wouldn't mind, and just print a few things, few of those, and then start colouring the yantra in whatever colour you like. So, you know, these kind of things reiterate your message of love to the universe, that's what you're looking for. And be open, you know, like do Venusian things, start treating yourself really well, and the universe will start treating you well. Thank you for watching. Hello, so Venus in the 12th house. 12th house, as you know, is a Dushtana house, and it's so it's a difficult house. However, in the natural zodiac, Venus is exalted in the 12th house, which is Pisces. Now, clearly what it is because Venus is enjoyment. As you know, you just heard stuff about Venus, and this is like where you find Venus is very, very devoted. So this is how I would describe this Venus, really. So I'm going to give you some indications for the 12th house. 12th house is a house of losses and expenses, dreams, sleep, how we sleep. Does it rejuvenate us? Bed pleasures, secret bed pleasures, completions, privacy, endings, hospitals, prisons, laboratories, working behind the scenes, charities. Now this is interesting because charities, there's the secret thing going on with them. Like you know, normally the adverts and commercials they put on, they make you feel kind of heartfelt, and you feel as though you want to kind of donate. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against charities. I just feel as though there is no accountability. Do we actually often see where our money goes? Is there an accountability? It's a secret house. And don't forget, this is also second houses from the 11th house. So I'm just going to leave it out there because it's just very, very easy. You know, when you go to actually do a checkout and they say, do you want to donate £1 for this? And you just think, or $1, you know, and for us it's like it's nothing, we just happily do it. But I would just say to you, give that $1, give that £1 to somebody that you clearly see on the street who's struggling, because it is homelessness, and that is charity starts at home, where there's accountability and there's visibility. So this is the only true, I mean, I'm not against any charities if they can be accountable. I can see their accounts and they don't have chief executives who are earning like $500,000 a year or something, you know. So I'm just saying, you know, there is a secret house. So there is, I personally think that, you know, we work hard for our money. We want to make sure when we are being charitable, it's going to the right people. So just saying. Anyway, so going back, meditation, connections with the source, surrender, loss of energy. So obviously, you know, like in the first house we are kind of, because also 12th house is a completion of a whole cycle. So you know, when you're age 1 to 12 you go through, and then by the time you go to 13 then your teenage years start. So every 12 years you have a complete turnaround of Jupiter goes around the whole of the zodiac. In every year it's in a sign, pretty much, because it does retrograde as well. But and we learn a little bit of wisdom about every house that Jupiter has traveled through. And so, you know, we're kind of learning. It's by the time that 12-year cycle has finished, we have high wisdom now because we've traveled through the 12 years. So it's very poignant time of our life, every 12 years. And so naturally, you know, this is house of Guru, Pisces, and Venus is also a teacher. So brings those elements together. So it is pretty beautiful, but also obviously, like anything, you know, we just got to be careful, because also it's a house where you can lose your energy. So it's house of death as well. And it's house of secrets, and this is where you kind of lose a bit of your energy, you end up being poorly and you end up in hospital. So hospitalization is also 12th house. So you know, just wanted to just point that out. It's also a house of psychic abilities, connecting to the source, getting messages, channeling. It's the part of your life you want sort of secret. There are certain parts of our lives, 4th, 8th and 12th house, they're secret. We don't, you know, people don't want to be, you know, like they like to keep some of that back for themselves, if you like, to rejuvenate. Ashrams, retreats, and it's house of like when you have that quiet and stillness to meditate, you can literally get more creative. So this will bring out your hidden talents, hidden creativity by just being still and connecting. Relaxing, it's where you connect with the energy of the universe and that stillness and that kind of awareness. Then what it does, it kind of creates that spiritual guidance which can help us awaken with source, and we can actually, our pineal gland gets activated. I really do, I can't really reiterate enough that human beings, we've suffered so badly over generations, because we are not really, our pineal glands have been, which is our third eye, has been calcified by everything that we eat and drink, particularly water, fluoride in the toothpaste, everything. Just be really, really aware of these things, you know, because when we are actually, our pineal gland is our intuition, it's our awareness, that subconscious part of us that really protects us. So, you know, like when your gut feeling through eating badly and, you know, again, eating, drinking badly, these parts of us which were really, really kind of strong in generations before, they're not so strong now. So people can make mistakes, have losses, all that kind of stuff, because we're just not tapping into our natural energy. And everybody is psychic. Everybody gets, if they just open those decalcify things, they really can, you know, just research it. I'm not saying Google it, I'm just saying research it, because there are other search engines as well. So anyway, so let's see, addictions, hallucinations, abstract things. It's a bit psychedelic house as well, you know, so, but I also don't want to, you know, I mean, I don't know, I've never really kind of been very brave to try anything, but I'm just saying that sometimes I think things that are actually have been, we've been told by, I don't know, by media, whatever, that are bad for us, we kind of don't really know. We're just accepting that they say some things are bad for us, like don't have this because, you know, it makes you hallucinate and all of that. But then you hear from time to time that it's really good for pain relief, it's really good for people who've got mental health disorders and everything. And you wonder the reason why, because there's like all these big organizations, they're making huge amounts of money out of products that apparently really look after us, but what they do, they give you all these horrible side effects, and yet a natural thing that's been grown in the earth by gods over the years, you know, they're suddenly saying, oh, you mustn't have this because of that. So yeah, this is, I guess, of the calcified mind. So I know I'm just like questioning things all the time now. I'm not really, I just think if I can't see it, I can't believe it. I don't want to be told things that, or you know, and now there's I hear so many things, and I keep getting like this alarm bells going off in my head, and I think, oh yeah, I'm not, you know, I don't want to follow a narrative that doesn't sit right with me with anything. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's history, science, food, I don't care, you know, I'm really questioning now. So I think because I've had that time to just retreat, and maybe it's a 12th house thing, I've definitely I've done a lot of research the last 2 years, and yes, so I think it's not a bad thing. Questioning is good. Anyway, Venus, planet of love and harmony and just getting on with people. It's kind of like it's all has the theme for Venus here is devotion. Absolute devotion, love of everything and surrender. Now this really happens to be, you know, you have to, because obviously we are talking about Venus with no conjunctions, no aspects, and therefore you know, free of any sort of problems. For Venus is different for every, you know, the function of it is different for different ascendants. So it's very important to see where it's sitting, because obviously sitting in when it's exalted will be completely different to debilitated, and own sign will be different to enemy sign. That kind of thing is definitely to be considered. So obviously the other thing that's 12th house is faraway lands, and this obviously very first thing is you can meet your partner in foreign lands whilst you're traveling. Whilst you're in an ashram, you could meet them when you're in a hospital, maybe even a prison, who knows, you know. Again, I don't want to have like, you know, everybody who's in those, you know, they're bad. So just, you know, just have an open mind. I have to sort of pull away from this this world that everything goes into a box. We don't know people's circumstances, and it's like really Venus is devotion and love for all. So just being generous and not kind of having an opinion on somebody who's homeless and thinking they're useless or something. And I'll give you a really prime example actually. I don't know why I'm going into tangent, but apparently where I live here there was a chap who was a homeless guy, and he used to sleep on some of the benches. And there was a lady who just kind of saw him one day, and she was speaking to him, and they kind of, you know, she gave him time, which is more important sometimes than money. You know, most people suffer from loneliness, and again, 12th house is loneliness. And as are a lot of elderly at the moment, elderly people, particularly during this thing that everybody's really scared of this virus. And, you know, elderly people are kind of being really overlooked. You know, sometimes if they live on their own, particularly in the UK, oh my goodness, we have so many elderly people living on their own, and their only entertainment is the TV all day, giving them all this, you know. So anyway, don't stop. So anyway, but she had these conversations with him, and every now and then she would stop and speak to him, and he was a really intelligent man. Anyway, they got married, and the situation was that he basically was a married man and a very successful journalist at Fleet Street in the UK, you know, where most of the big sort of press companies are there, you know, newspapers. And anyway, they and the situation was that his wife passed away. She was taking their daughters that morning. I think their wife had said, you know, would you take the girls to school, and he had to be at work, so he couldn't take them. And what happened was she then had to take the kids to school. She was involved in a car accident, and he lost his wife and his two girls. And obviously he was devastated after that. So his 12th house of losses, which can be any type of losses, kicked in. And he was started drinking, addiction started, and he lost his home, his work, his home as a result of that, and kind of became very depressed, clinically depressed, and just completely without hope, really. So that's how he ended up being homeless and sleeping in a park. So this was just an amazing guy, and he just felt such amazing amount of just devastated by what had happened and the loss he'd suffered. So he ended up like being in this situation. Anyway, the good news is that they had this chemistry going on, and so what happened is they got married, and both successful people now, you know, and he's a very, very capable, creative person. So actually, and he published a book, because that's another thing that happens in the 12th house. Your creativity kicks in, because you're away from all the sort of everything that we have to deal with, you know, all the kind of chores we have to do, responsibilities. And he was able to publish a book pretty soon after they set up home together. So it's a beautiful story. So what a beautiful Venus story that is, really, of the 12th house. So yes, it's and you know, I think these kind of things really, when you hear people and how amazing, you know, what amazing stories you hear, and because that was all because she had the grace and the humanity in her to actually stop and not just give him a bit of money, but actually asking him, how are you, you know, what's happened today, you know, what's happened to you, why are you in this situation? Here we are. So anyway, went off on a tangent again. So obviously this is a day of doing this. So, but yeah, so this is also a partner who is very creative, very imaginative, and this kind of traveling and being away from everything really allows their pineal gland, obviously, their creativity really kick in, because they can see things from different perspectives. Obviously, very highly sexual, sensual partner as well, depending on what you know, what signs Venus rules for you. So sometimes it could also be, you know, if 8th house is involved, it could be some sort of sexual scandal. It could also be like, you know, to do with, anyway. So you know, because Venus is sex and 12th house is bed pleasure, so there could be some issues with it as well. But it could also be, you know, you can't really say it's a bad thing, because this is what, if people are here to fulfill these kind of things, we can't judge them, you know, it's not for us to judge anyone. Anyway, so let's have a look at what else did I put down. Yeah, so always want to just also check that, because also this is house of your expenses. So if you are if the Ashtaka Varga, which is the score for the house, is lower than your 11th house, which is gains, so you, no sooner you gain things, you get expenditure and losses through that. So you want to be really careful. And you want to also see the nakshatras, and you know, so some nakshatras are sort of like looking ahead, some are looking back, some are looking down and everything. So people who kind of in certain nakshatras, these Venus can really enjoy the moment, live the moment, and be present with you. That is quite nice too. They obviously, this is your energy as well. So the more you sleep and everything, the better it is too. It's clearly a Venus that's not very grounded though. So you've got to just see that they can have issues, particularly in particular houses, you know, or signs I should say. They could really have commitment issues too, just because they're always searching for this like isolation, getting away from things. They're like free-spirited souls really, in a sense. So the best way to get them to settle is to you know, like have a goal together, travel together, you know, just allow their creativity to be kicked in, that kind of stuff. So let's have a look at ascendants now. For Aries ascendant, this will be their 2nd and 7th house ruler in the 12th house. So clearly the partner that you attract will be somebody who's very likes spending money, and likes spending money on things that are to do with travel and things for the family, but luxurious stuff, food, because obviously 2nd house is all the senses, you know, so food, nice perfumes, nice fashion, travel, hospitality, that kind of thing. You know, they like to go and eat in nice restaurants, that kind of thing, because they're quite sociable. So there's quite a lot of expenditure to do with that. So hopefully the Ashtaka Varga of the 2nd house is higher than the 12th house. For a Taurus ascendant, Venus rules 1st and 6th house. In the 12th house will be in Aries. So this will be somebody who, so basically their expenses can create debts for them, because for one thing, they spend things really quickly, You know, that's that kind of like everything to do with Aries is in the head, because rules the natural first house of the zodiac is the head. So on their mind, it's all kind of spending. They just like constantly want to spend money. And they're quite impulsive by it. So these are the people who really got to stay away from, like, you know, Amazon and like, don't spend on big companies anyway. I'm not a big fan of big companies, but generally speaking, don't get yourself into a situation where you get bored. And that's another thing, that 12th house is boredom. And they can just like spend money and create massive debts for themselves. So it's very important not to. But, you know, they're also attracted to somebody who is, because obviously there's a foreign element, but somebody who's kind of quite impulsive, quite, you know, quite free-spirited as well, and quite brave. For Gemini Ascendant, Venus rules their 5th and 12th house. So this will be 12th house Venus. So actually nice and strong there. But obviously, this 12th house, again, you know, they like to spend money. And so again, you want to just check that. They like to spend money on education, stocks, because obviously Taurus is also the second natural sign of the zodiac. So it's banking, you know, that kind of thing. So they like to invest money in kind of stocks and shares and that kind of investment, basically. But it could give them losses depending on the Ashtaka Varga and what sort of, you know, it depends on their chart, where their moon is and everything. But definitely, you know, moon's nakshatra will come into place because, you know, there are 3 nakshatras there, and there's a possibility that 2 of them can bring massive losses. So it depends on the person's chart. Very much depends on the dasha they're in as well. So just because it rules the 5th house doesn't mean that it's going to be, yeah. So just, I would just say definitely be careful. Like to spend money on education, on classical kind of text, on their children, and very creative things as well. So these are the people who want to invest money like on things, for example, such as learning to play an instrument, creative endeavors, you know, really nice parties. They probably have lavish things like that. And they're romantic. This is house of romance, 5th house. So if they're dating, they'll be really nice people to date, because they will also be imaginative about where they take you and how they will woo you and stuff like that. So a guy who has this is going to be amazing at taking you out and really just be invested in you during that time, because they're quite family oriented as well. And so for now for Cancer Ascendant, Venus rules 4th and 11th house in the 12th house in Gemini. So Gemini are obviously a friendly sign for Venus. Again, you always want to check Ashtaka Varga, depends on the condition of a lot of things and nakshatras and everything, but generally speaking it's pretty good, you know. But anything to do with 12th house, I would still say just be careful. But yeah, it's quite nice. It's very playful in bed, these people, because, you know, Gemini is like just about the sexiest sign that there is. They just, you know, they're very playful. They want to keep things very interesting. They're very curious as well. So you can imagine, can't you? So, and enjoy. That's all I've got to say. For Leo Ascendant, this is Venus rules their 3rd and 10th house in the 12th house. So it could be that with their work, they have to go and do like presentations abroad, and that's how they meet their wife. They travel a lot because 12th house is travel, and so is 3rd house, and they learn a lot of things when they travel, because 3rd house is naturally a house of learning and thinking, and that thinking makes them really creative, so they can actually write things, blog, vlog, and for work, and that can just kind of you know, help their job. It is obviously still, nonetheless, it's 12th house, and it's an emotional sign as well. So they could just like emotional buyers, because that's the nature of the sign, you know, Cancer. So for Virgo Ascendant, for them, Venus rules 2nd and their 9th house in the 12th house in Leo. So this will be the whole family actually could be really good at sort of spending money. This is obviously Venus is not in good condition here, and it's a fixed thing, so it's like a fixed habit. So they have to really work at getting out of this situation. And their father could also create losses, or could be that they didn't have much contact growing up with their dad, that kind of stuff. Or the whole family lived abroad. Like they could be like somebody who's like an ambassador of, you know, in a different country, and the whole family has grown up abroad, and they've had wonderful education there. Their father is highly respected, because obviously ninth house of being Taurus. Yeah, so it could be a very diplomatic situation where they're politicians, or, you know, in a really high status father in that sense. And obviously there are things about the father that people don't know, and yeah, so, and there could be like secret things going on too there, as the nature of things, secret monies, but they do like to spend money on huge luxuries, because Leo is a noble sign, a royal sign, so everything will be there will be much more grandeur to do with that. For Libra Ascendant, this would be Venus rules 1st and 8th house in the 12th house, so you will be debilitated there. So this is quite different. So this is an interesting one now for Libra Ascendant. So this could be a secret affair. 8th house, Venus is ruling 1st and 8th house. So that's quite interesting. So you could be having secret relationships, and that could have given you some losses or sleepless nights, that kind of thing. Or you've suddenly fall into expenses, like you say, for example, you could just trip up on something, and and that could actually get you into hospital, and you have some sort of expenses through that. So you want to be careful with that, really. So, but it could also be that you gain that kind of thing just suddenly, some kind of, you have this, some sort of accident or issue, you're hospitalized, and you come out and then you get some gains. So maybe some insurance payment or something like that, because that's 8th house. Now for Scorpio Ascendant, Venus rules 7th and 12th house. So Venus will be in Libra, own sign, is 7th house ruler in the 12th house. So this will be a Venus that you meet them like being abroad, at work, because 7th house is 10th from 10th, and also both of you love traveling, absolutely adore going to places, learning about how they eat, their cultures, how things work in a different country. That you really love to. It gives you a lot of enjoyment being out and enjoying other countries. For Sagittarius Ascendant, this Venus is 6th and 11th house ruler in the 12th house. They create, so your partner you could meet them at work, because you could be like working in a hospital situation, 12th house is hospital, and you could meet them at work, or they could be hospitalized, and that's how you meet them, or, obviously far lands, things like that. But it could also be that 11th house is elder sibling, and it's also networks of friends. So you meet them through that, you meet them secretly, and that's how things start. So that kind of stuff. It could also be that your partner actually works in medicine in a hospital setting. I don't know if I already said that. I do apologize if I did. Capricorn Ascendant, so Venus rules 5th and 10th house, Yogacaraka planet, very strong. In the 12th house will be in Sagittarius, natural sign of education and travel belief system. So for you, it's very, very important that your partner is educated, travel, and obviously this is, you take your children away with them as well, you meet them abroad, you just like, everything to do with work, children, education, and your partner will be all very much to do with traveling abroad. Belief system, you might be hanging out with people who do similar sort of things, that kind of thing. It's quite nice, that one, so as well, because of Venus being, you know, but obviously still expenses, creates expenses for you, and Venus is not in a friendly sign there. And then for Aquarius ascendant, so Venus will be in Capricorn, Yogacaraka planet. Again, you know, obviously a house of loss, so you want to just be aware of that. And this Venus rules 4th and 9th house, so a house of parents, if you like, 4th and 9th house. Parents, you know, it could be that you don't know your parents. You could be an adopted child. You could also be that you have properties abroad, or your father could live abroad, your mother could live abroad, that kind of stuff. It could even be that you drive a foreign car. That it could be all sorts of things. You could have studied abroad, 9th house of education there. But you know, obviously Venus will be in good condition, it's in a friendly sign, and it's also a house that Capricorn is very kind of yuppie-ish, you know, likes to kind of get better, you know, work through the ranks, if you like, hard working. But nonetheless, though, it's still 12th house, so there is some foreign elements to it and some loss elements to it. Venus rules 3rd and 8th house for Pisces ascendant. So this is Venus that is very humanitarian in Aquarius, friendly sign again, and this will be like a Venus that's very, you know, kind of humanitarian, likes to do things with groups, charitable groups. Again, there's an 8th house issue there, which is obviously 8th house is secrets, sex, spying on things, that kind of thing. So I'll leave that to your imagination, that kind of thing. So there is some elements to it, but definitely relationships can start off secretly with somebody within your group of friends, because of Aquarius being like that. So but generally speaking, there could also be some secrets to do with your mum, with your siblings, or your friends, or you like secret communication. You start communicating behind the scenes with your partner initially before they become your partner. But there's a lot of sexiness going on there. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next series of videos. Thank you.